I really want to experience this like hip hop culture.
From people who are actively like living the life of someone who would like, you know, create hip hop music.
Just like build a relationship with someone who you wouldn't necessarily come across, you know, on a daily basis.
Berkeley can be a bubble.
I never actually really got around UC Berkeley, only like saw the front.
An issue that's particular to communities like Richmond is just that our young people and staff are living in a constant state of PTSD.
A lot of young people have either perceived threats or very real threats.
This is supposed to be like a neutral space for a lot of people in Richmond, but not everybody in Richmond get along.
And so they were like rowdy, right?
It was a bit of a mess. Maybe I was expecting a bit more of a controlled environment.
Because I really didn't like sitting there just listening. I wanted to actually be into it and stuff, like actually be included.
It was boring at first. The first one, I kind of fell asleep during, to be honest with the people. I kind of fell asleep.
The first one where I was talking about like West African.
Yeah, I kind of fell asleep during it. Was in the corner.
Everyone was kind of looking at each other to decide, are we going to be too cool for this, or are we actually going to engage?
So it kind of make you feel like, man, do we got to change the whole lesson plan? Because it's kind of like, it feel like it's going over their heads and they're not focusing, you know.
Your dad told me that there was a hip hop workshop happening, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I didn't really know what we were going to be doing. I thought we was just going to be working on like beats. Like I thought it was just going to be like another beat protection or something. But then you like started teaching us like the history of hip hop, and that's like really interesting because I didn't know most of the stuff you taught us. Like when you were teaching us about funk and like the LA funk and stuff, how they like sampled older songs and bass lines were like really important and stuff like that.
So I think that both the Cal students and Sarah got some resistance at first, not necessarily just because it felt kind of like a class, like the lecture days, and most of our young people are resistant to something that feels like school.
And I guess my first impression was just like, how can we help to make it better? But like in regards to us who we were taking the class, because we just found it like interesting, right? And like this history that you don't get to listen to very often. I felt like, how can I sort of inflict that sort of same, like, you know, this is just something cool. You're not gonna get this at a regular school.
I mean, I just assumed that it was going to be mostly like middle-class white students, and it was a pretty diverse group, both in terms of like backgrounds, like economically and racially, but even beyond race or class or anything like that, I think that I just in my head was like, okay, Cal students and RYSE youth, you know, just like trying to think about how is that going to mesh together, because we've done partnerships like this before where the students came in and the professor came in and there was just a total disconnect between the academic like approach from the college program and our young people and like what they probably would have been more engaged by.
Yeah, no, I did not feel like it was easy to talk to the kids. And it's because, right, like most of the kids were African American, and me being white or like looking white, I feel like there's a clash when someone is, you know, I don't know, there's like a clash, just like there's an initial wall behind like, you don't understand me sort of thing, right? But they didn't know, you know, like they didn't know that I was Mexican.
The time when I feel really challenged was when I felt that like they're sort of like withholding their ideas from me, and like they're not really willing to share their thoughts with me. They're sort of like creating an out crowd to like they just like don't feel comfortable to like share stories with me. That was the time when I felt kind of challenged.